Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Dean, and here we are yet again for another program where we educate, entertain, inform, and help, or something like that. Anyway, welcome. My name is Dean. We are joined today by a couple of guys that I know and love. Please welcome to the program, Locked and Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. He's the morning show host there, host of The Locker Room. You can listen every weekday morning. If you're in the area, if you have an FM radio in your car still, is that a thing? I don't know. And if you could log online to 957cruisefm.ca, lots of
we have an app
listeners.
Too.
You got an app? There you go. Download it. And on my right, please welcome back to the program a broadcaster from 94.9 The Rock in Oshawa, Ontario. Thank you. There's so many 4s and 9s and points. When you're talking like you get two radio guys on, you're like, there's a 9 and a 4 and a 7 and a point, and there's a dot. But an Oshawa morning show host, Craig Van and Lucky, morning radio program out there. And he's also calls games, NHL games for Hockey Night in Canada and the NHL. And he's also the voice of the Oshawa Generals. Lucky Mike Luck is his name. That's where you can find him on Twitter. And he's back because we're going to talk about hockey today and stuff. What's that?
No. You lost to the Generals in 2015, Erie Otters.
That's right.
Erie Otters.
That's a big McDavid fan right there, Lucky. The guy that thought you're
McDavid.
How can you not? Huge.
How can you not be?
Big fan.
You got to be a big fan. I'm not one of those stats guys, though.
Well, that's not a stat. That's just general knowledge. That your best player in the world where he played junior is Erie, right? Like I knew that. It's with Ryan Strome. If you remember, Ryan Strome played with him in Erie. That was a hell of a team. My buddy, actually, my dad's friend, owns the team now. For what it's worth. That's how I know all this. And I'll
remember that,
as you should. Anyway, Mike, good to have you. Nice to see you. What do you get? Your hair looks fresh. You got something going on tonight? You hosting some kind of gala?
I am actually. It's the Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I got to host that, so I had to get a fresh stew for it. And you know what? Listen, we haven't done it in person in a couple of years, so and getting out and about.
Good for you. Since Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame, there's some big names in there. I think Bobby Orr's in that bad boy, is he not?
He has come through. You know what? It's actually a beautiful facility. It's located inside the Tribute Community Center where the Oshawa Generals play, and they have like a gorgeous museum with the likes of Bobby Orr has a whole basically section of it. But others, Dale Howardchuk came through Oshawa as well in his time, and you'll find so many kind of artifacts and tributes to not only Oshawa sports but hockey in general too. Yeah,
John Tavares. Is there any John Tavares memorabilia in the Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame? Is he in it?
I believe he has not been inducted yet, but I believe you will find some of his Team Canada material in there. Eric Lindros is, and you will find his stuff in there already.
Yeah. Anybody else that I would recognize that's in the Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame, like Skeeter Jones or New Zealand? Any of those guys?
I don't know about that one. I would think Tony Tandy has some stuff in there, and I would think as well you're going to find Paul Romanuk, the broadcaster. He went into the Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame 2 years ago.
Dude, Oshawa's a big fucking hockey town. Like, it's such a blue collar city that you have people out there that live, breathe, die Generals hockey still. Like in a GTA mega center, like it's incredible. And you speak to how important the Generals or the Jennies were back in the day, knowing that Bobby Orr came out of that center, but there's a rich history with that franchise, and Oshawa has a super rich sports history. It really, really does.
It does, and it goes beyond as well, just hockey and the Generals and Legionnaires baseball and lacrosse as well, and that whole Durham region has such a history to it. Connected, of course, with the Generals, and it's tough to do in the GTA in this market to have a junior hockey team with its own lifeblood. Those are real hockey fans, to be honest. Because there are a lot of people who
are real hockey fans.
Well, there are a lot of people who are just Leaf fans, right? And they live and die by the Leafs, and they're done as soon as the Leafs are done. But then there's hockey fans, right now going on in Saskatchewan, right? Is the OJHL, the Junior Tier 2 Cup is going. The Pickering Panthers are there. And former Oshawa General Rob Pearson is coaching that team, and you got people in Estevan going from Durham to Estevan, Saskatchewan to watch hockey and follow them.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy how much people love the sport and follow that local team up there. Are you getting paid for tonight's gig? You going to do your hair nice? You got a tux? What are you doing?
No tux. But I'll get
No?
the suit on, and we'll. You know what? This one is for some friends. There, we'll help them out.
Oh, that's nice of you. And you haven't been able to
I
do it for 2
know.
years because of the COVID. Oh, you're such a nice guy. You're way more altruistic than me. To
I-
get out of
I
those
just-
things, I would just charge people a flat rate of 10 grand, and they would just say, "We'll go with someone else." I'm like, sorry.
Like for the same reason I'm here right now, Dean. I have a tough time saying no sometimes.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm praying on it because I'm glad you're here. We want to talk to you about a couple things, including the Battle of Alberta. Oilers take a 3-1 chokehold in that series against the Flames, dude. The Flames. I watched that game last night. 2 dick in the first period early. Weird stuff from Markstrom in the first period with that first goal from Nugent Hopkins. Mike Smith let in a goal from the other end and looked like it was everybody else's fault. Seesaw battle of Alberta, roller coaster of death. But the Oilers came out 4-3, 5-3 actually, with an empty net. And Evander Kane is legitimately dragging, along with Connor McDavid, pardon the French, dragging their nuts all over the Calgary Flames fan base. Did you see this coming, first of all, especially after game 1, Luck? I didn't. And Lachlan's like, he's quietly waiting down there going, I can't wait to go all in on how much tickets cost for these events. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I can say I saw this coming. I knew it was going to be a very tight series, or at least close. I didn't think I saw any of the scores. I mean, there's 15 goals in the first game. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No.
And you know, I think a lot of people would have seen maybe some goaltending issues coming for Edmonton, but not the ones that are coming from Calgary and Jacob Markstrom. And you know, when you look at his numbers against all other NHL teams in the regular season, he's got a goals against average just over 2 and a save percentage up into the 915s, 920s, I think. And then you look at him against Edmonton in the regular season and playoffs, and his goals against average goes up over 4, his save percentage down around 860. And it's interesting. He just has not played against the Edmonton Oilers very well. And I got to say, I didn't know that stat going into the series. I would have thought easily this would be a Calgary favored in goaltending and in net. But the Edmonton offense, everyone knew it was at least 2-pronged with McDavid and Draisaitl. You know, the Evander Kane addition is giving the Edmonton Oilers what they always wanted through all of the first round picks that they had that didn't turn out. And that is, you know, a secondary option that is just lethal. And you don't have to like what they did in getting Evander Kane. You don't have to like Evander Kane, but if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, you have to like what he's doing.
He's got 12 goals in the playoffs.
He's got 12 goals through 2 rounds. Sorry, 1.5.
Yep.
1.5. I read a stat yesterday. It was like, and I don't know if it's throughout the playoffs. I think Gretzky's playoff record is like 31 points, if I'm not mistaken. McDavid's already at 25. He's had 7 multi-point games in the playoffs already. He's averaging just under 3 points a game in this series alone.
Got 2 helpers last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous watching him, and you're right about Evander Kane, and I want to get to that situation in a second. But talk a little bit about what McDavid's doing, because I've never seen it before, and I grew up in the 80s loving the Oilers, watching every single fucking playoff series, reading box scores, going 3 more for Wayne, 5 more for Wayne, and in the playoffs, he was even more legit. But where do you put this performance of his? Let's start there, because it's fucking crazy to watch.
It's obviously among the best in history. You know, the numbers don't lie, and you're right. He's on par with names like Gretzky and Lemieux and the gods of hockey lore. You know, people love to separate things into eras, and that, you know, oh, okay, well, if it was in the Gretzky era, that, you know, that's different, and in the Crosby era, that's different. You know, really, if it was in the Gretzky era, Connor McDavid would have 50 at this point. It's insane what he's doing. He is the best hockey player that I know. I've always said this, that I've ever called. At the guy, in terms of calling it or doing it all at game speed and at the speed that he does is incredible. And I think a lot of, you know, fans who, you know, just casually follow the game, the ones who call NHL players pylons, you know, will look and say, well, you know, he's doing it against this guy and this guy. No, he's doing it against everybody. And the NHL game today is about time and space, and you don't get much of it. So to create what he creates in the time that he does it, and in the limited space that he does against all of the teams that he has done it against is absolutely incredible, and he deserves, all of the praise that he's getting, and because he's also a pretty decent human being in the way that he does it as well. He's not cocky, he's not flashy. He knows he's the best out there, and without telling you that
doesn't act like
he's just
it.
showing it to you. No, not at all.
Yeah.
I've noticed something in the last couple of years, Luck, that and again, I'm not watching the game like you are, but
you don't get Lucky doesn't get naked and do yoga watching hockey games as well.
What I've noticed is that he has adjusted. That's a good looking man.
This is a hot looking 52-year-old in some boxer briefs right there. Yeah.
Just crushing my balls into the carpet. Okay. So the thing that I've noticed with his game is that he is adjusting it constantly. If you watch him over time, you'll notice, I think he's trying to figure out how to win in the playoffs. And I think he's got that down. I'm not an expert on the game. I'm a fan, but it just seems to me that that's the difference. But I mean, obviously his speed, he's the best player we've seen in a long, long time. I mean, that goes without question. I would avoid the Gretzky comparisons. He's got a long way to go, but I think you're right with the parity in the league right now. If you threw him back in 1986, and maybe put him on with Gretzky, put him on Gretzky's line, it would be insane. But the thing for me is that I think he's gotten into the league, played a couple of years, had some disappointment, and went, okay, I need to figure out how to adjust my game so that I can get a cup. And I think that's what he's been doing.
Yes, I don't disagree with that necessarily. The Gretzky comparison I make, Lachlan, is that, when you look at Connor McDavid and Wayne Gretzky, what I find so impressive about them is that they dominated at every level that they played. Gretzky, from the time he was, 8, 9 years old, and he was scoring 175 goals in a season, playing with kids a couple of years older than him. Connor McDavid did the exact same thing. And then you get to the NHL level, the professional level, the cream of the crop. And when you understand how difficult it is to even make it onto an NHL roster, to get to that point and then dominate the way he's dominating right now is incredibly impressive. And of course, being in the Toronto landscape here, you hear the comparisons to Austin Matthews. The difference being Austin Matthews is a fantastic goal scorer. Connor McDavid is a game breaker, and you can't really game plan for a guy that has the first 3 strides of Connor McDavid. He has ability to separate from defenses and from coverage is unbelievable. And I know he works a ton in the off season, does it with Gary Roberts and Aurora, and he's been working on his legs and his speed, throughout. He's always been the fastest guy on the ice, but he continues to work at it. And that's what you find about these guys who are incredibly successful. No matter how successful they are, they still work hard. They have that ethic in them to keep going. And I don't see a ceiling yet for Connor McDavid.
That's fucking scary, isn't it, when you consider what he's done so far in the playoffs this year, and the adjustments that he's made. And I agree with Lachlan. I also agree with you. You see the evolution of Connor McDavid just in the playoffs this year. You see the physicality, which you haven't seen from him to this extent. He's never been a complainer, but he's starting to get some calls. So he's got the confidence to be able to go into those tight spots and, take on a couple of guys where he normally wouldn't in the past couple of years, where he might shy away from it. But unlike years past when they've snuck into the playoffs and made this weird disappearance, he's just getting it done, which leads me to Evander Kane. He scored a couple last night. Well, he's got 12 goals. Hey, sorry, go ahead, Locke.
I'll say one more thing. I think what's happened is I think the team now is believing. I think the team, he is energized a handful of guys, and they're capable of keeping up with him.
Nuge last night.
Yeah, Nuge. If Hyman's on his line, which occasionally he is, Kane's on his line pretty consistently now since he's been with the Oilers. And these guys are they're taking over the game. We're not even talking about Draisaitl and his points. We're talking about Kane because he's got a stupid amount of goals. I think he's got 3 hat tricks, got 2 more last night. 12 goals in this early this stage of the playoffs is crazy. That's why we're talking about Kane. But Nuge has been reignited. Like these guys, you watch this team now, and there's a couple of third liners too, where it's like, oh, McLeod, look at that guy, look at this guy go. Like, Archibald.
Well, because you
old
can't match up
anti-vaxxer
for these guys,
Archibald
right?
is
What's that? What'd you say? Sorry.
But because you can't have enough players to match up to everybody on when you've got a team firing the way that they do. Remember too, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are playing 20+ minutes to lead the series in time on ice per game for all players in the series, right? Johnny Gaudreau, I think, leads Calgary with about 18.5 minutes. You're talking about 3.5 minutes more on ice for Connor McDavid, and he's he's playing in all situations as well, which is not what you always see from stars. And that is massive for the success of the Edmonton Oilers. And it trickles down the roster too, because, if you've got to have your top guys out covering McDavid, then, you've got guys who are sitting on the bench for, 3, 4, 5 minute spells who all of a sudden have to get out and they got to cover a Leon Draisaitl or a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and they're a step behind because the way that Edmonton is firing is just so good. And when you look at the stats of the way this series is going, and your best players have to be your best players. And for the Calgary Flames, you got guys like Tkachuk, who's -4 in the series, and Lindblom's a -7. And Edmonton's doing this 5-on-5. Their power play numbers are less than 10%. With a power play that you would think would be absolutely lethal.
And that's Calgary's game, that 5-on-5 game, right? Like that was Sutter was talking about that yesterday. We got to play 5-on-5, and they're getting beat at that game. They're getting beat handily at that game. Yeah,
that's how they won the West.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, 5-on-5 hockey. I mean, it's when you define goal scoring, and it's the one metric that everybody talks about with Auston Matthews. It's his 5-on-5 numbers are the best in the league and have been for the last 2-3 years. So. Obviously, it's important, and you look at the goal-scoring leaders in the playoffs. McDavid, number 1 with 25 points through 11 games. Draisaitl, 11 for 22. And let's get to Evander Kane, 11 games, 15 points. 12 of those points are goals. He's got a couple of hat tricks, had another one last night. How do we feel about this? Because I know everybody wants to hate the guy. I know everybody in Edmonton before he got there was like, fuck that, he's going to ruin the team. Well, it looks like he's exactly what you needed to actually make a run in the playoffs.
Everybody knew that. We all knew that he was a piece that we needed. We needed a big guy that could skate with McDavid, and has hands. And to every Oiler fan that at the beginning of at the end of the season when they dropped him into the lineup after he sorted out his shit with the league in San Jose, every single Oiler fan was like, the hardcore fans were all about Kane. A lot of the sports donkeys were like, yeah, this is perfect. This is a perfect fit. I was one of many people that was saying, do you want this kind of a cancer, this kind of a dick in your locker room? And he's managed to, I mean, who knew? Your seventh chance is finally
the chance that you
sort it out.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like luck. I mean, this guy was left for dead. Edmonton takes a flyer. They sign him, bring him in. He's done nothing but score goals and be the perfect fit for a guy like Connor McDavid on the ice. I don't know about anything off the ice, but speak to what is Connor McDavid doing for Evander Kane for the rest of his life? Like, what gift is he giving him by just playing and trying to win the Stanley Cup and just shoveling fucking money pucks to the front of the net on his stick and giving him the opportunity to score? Because 12 goals by far and away leads the playoffs in goal scoring. And he was left for dead 4 months ago, wasn't he?
But yes, and in some terms, is it not the perfect scenario for him then? Because here's a chance to come in and have one singular focus. Your job is to come in and help this team win a Stanley Cup, advance to the Stanley Cup final and win a Stanley Cup, go deep in the playoffs. That's your only focus. His focus is not to be a 3 or 4 year contract guy and be a good guy in the room and get along with everyone there. Have to be friends with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl for the next 5-6 years in a long-term contract. Your job is simply to get to the net, let him feed you pucks, and score goals. And perhaps, it's an equally, opportune fit in the sense that Evander Kane can just worry about playing hockey and scoring goals, and the Edmonton Oilers only have to worry about his focus, keeping him focused on the ice in the playoffs, scoring goals to win a Stanley Cup, and let's let all the other off ice stuff. And yes, a lot of teams looked at that and said, we don't want to touch this. We don't want any long term deal. And I think the Edmonton Oilers were smart in saying, we're not thinking long term in this. We're only thinking what he can do for this team to get them over the edge right now.
I think they lowballed him too. They didn't give him a lot of money. I don't know the ins and outs of the deal, Luck. But maybe I should. I live here, but I don't think he's being paid what he's worth. I'm pretty sure he's not being paid what he was supposed to make in San Jose this year if he had made a full season.
I'm pretty sure it all goes to the Mohegan Sun Casino anyway.
But it was a last ditch, right? It was, listen, this is your only offer. This is what we're going to do. And it was mutually beneficial. It got him at least continuing on playing hockey. And for the Edmonton Oilers, they got a top 10 hockey player in the playoffs alone. But not only that, they had no one was doubting Evander Kane's skill.
No.
Everyone knew that it was what came with it. But how long do you have to put up with that is the question. And for the Edmonton Oilers, it's, can we get through a playoff with them?
Yeah, maybe they're thinking, hey, listen, how much damage, interpersonal damage, can he do in a dressing room in 4 months? Probably not a ton. You don't want him around for like 2 years, but maybe that's the deal with Evander Kane. He has to keep signing 4-month contracts with teams.
Well, and the funny thing is, and Oiler fans are going to hate me for this, I don't think he'll be in an Oilers jersey next year because McDavid is basically gift wrapping him a 2-year, $10 million contract is what's happening here right now. And he's not going to get that in Edmonton. We don't have the room.
I cannot believe his luck to some extent. Like the shit that was, like how do you I mean, you look at it and you're like, my God, I'm an Oilers fan, and you appreciate what McDavid's doing, and he's got that perfect complimentary piece if you're a fan and you're invested and stuff like that. But it's like, it's fucking unbelievable how many terrible things this guy has done publicly over the course of his career, and being as good as he is, now getting this 7th, as you pointed out, Lachlan, opportunity to be able to redeem himself. And it appears from the outside in that that's exactly what's going on, that Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers have legitimately saved this guy's life, Lucky.
Yeah, very, very much so. And in a sense, they have, and I don't know what the off-ice situation for Evander Kane is right now, but when you bring a guy in this scenario, you have a chance to really kind of babysit the way things work, right? He's not, coming in, buying a house and setting up roots right away. Instead, he's probably staying in a hotel right away, or they've got him in a condo. They know exactly where he is. They can control his movements. Your job is to get home, into bed, and get to the rink, get on the ice, play hockey, and that's it. And so, especially in this playoff scenario, they can really control where he's going.
Isn't there a casino in that building too? Isn't there a casino? Of
course there is.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait a second. And there's a hotel in that building as well. So you got a rink, you got a hotel, you got a casino. The dude doesn't have to go anywhere, but they probably have his picture up at the front. It's like, if this guy comes in to play some craps, just pretend he doesn't exist.
Well,
do not let him sit down, whatever you do.
And again, I don't know. This is pure 100% speculation.
Oh, then let's hear it.
This is a franchise. This is a franchise that does really, really good things with players and keeping a tight lid on them. I mean, they went through.
They've been doing it since the 80s. Yeah,
they've been doing it since the 80s. So they've had some practice. So it's like, bring Kaner in. He'll be good. Get in here.
Yeah, we got your house in Fort McMurray. You're gonna stay there. We'll fly you in for every game. Yeah.
Mike Luck is our guest at Lucky Mike Luck on Twitter, so you can find him. He's one of the hosts of the Craig Venn and Lucky Morning Show, 94.9 The Rock out in Oshawa, Ontario. Beautiful station, beautiful people. And I will say this about my friend Mike Luck. He knows hockey more than we do, which is why he's here. He's also part of the rotation of the Hockey Night in Canada play-by-play. He's called a bunch of games and did last year, kind of realized that beautiful life dream. So last question before we let you go. You got the Oilers penned into a Stanley Cup playoff final? I kind of do now. I mean, I thought if you can get past Calgary, that heavy game, all bets are off, and especially considering what I'm seeing.
Again, I looked at the goaltending going into this matchup, and I didn't understand the difference between Jacob Markstrom versus the Oilers and Jacob Markstrom versus the rest of the NHL. I think, if you're looking at a matchup against Colorado, it may not be as favorable as the one you're seeing here. And I thought Colorado was my pick in the West to begin with, and I still think they've got a juggernaut of a team that Edmonton, as well as they're playing against Calgary, and they, that Battle of Alberta, right? It's the first time in 31 years, Locke, right? So, there is a lot more on the line in Edmonton, and people, you have to understand that when you're playing for the Edmonton Oilers, your distinct enemy is the Calgary Flames right away, and the passion that's in that building in this series, plays a major role in the way that these teams are playing, especially at home throughout it. And
well put.
I don't know whether or not the Edmonton Oilers can keep that momentum going. I wouldn't bet against Connor McDavid right now, but really, when you meet the Colorado Avalanche, their blue line especially, compared to that of the Calgary Flames, I think you're looking at a very different series.
Yeah, I'm surprised by Calgary's their D, and it's how many times in a game do you see somebody from the Oilers in behind the D and going hard at the goal at Markstrom? It's unbelievable. I haven't seen anything like it in the playoffs this season at all. Like, they're constantly. Well,
you want to meet players going hard at goalies. You're going to see Nazem Kadri and the Colorado Avalanche coming up after this series too, and this is the team that is going to drive the net. And again, it'll be interesting to see the footwork of Cale Makar against a guy like Connor McDavid. You're looking at a matchup perhaps of the two marquee players in the NHL at their age in their positions, offense versus defense, and it would be one heck of a matchup to see.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know you got to roll because you got to do your hair and get your tuxedo on for the Oshawa Sport Hall of Fame Gala tonight. Listen, and congrats to all the inductees. Have a great time, and I hope that you enjoy hosting that tonight. And thanks for doing this today, Lucky. I really appreciate talking to you, as always.
I said before, Dean, anytime. Good to see you, Locke.
Thank you. Almost anytime. Thanks to Lachlan last time, trying to talk about really greasy stuff. Now we're going to keep it clean, but Lucky, good to see you, pal.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I did too. See you soon,
boys.
Brother. All right, take care. There's Mike Luck. He is one of the hosts of the Craig Venn and Lucky radio program at 94.9 The Rock out in Oshawa. Ha, ha, ha. And by the way, I think the Oilers, I didn't think they get past the Flames. And then I watched parts of that Avalanche Blues series, and I'm like, I don't think anybody's beating the Avalanche this year. But I said the same thing about the Flames, and I had the Leafs going to the Stanley Cup Finals. So there you go.
Yeah, you have your head up your ass with predictions. So
yeah,
it's good.
Awful.
Keep going.
Ryan Lindley's here. Good morning, afternoon,
Hi,
evening.
Good day.
Ryan Lindley, nice to see you. How are you?
It's great to see you boys, too. How's everybody? Nice to see you.
Good.
Lucky,
Good.
It was cool.
Yeah.
What's with the moniker on the top?
You okay?
That's calling me a spy?
You okay?
I'm great. Why?
Lachlan and I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
It's a pretty intense subject, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's
We're not doing this because we want to.
we're doing it.
Okay.
So this week, actually it was last week, we had heard that Canada banned Huawei and ZTE networks. Okay.
Huawei, yes.
Whatever. Huawei.
It's funny you know how to say it properly.
Hee. Yeah, weird. Isn't that crazy how he knows the exact pronunciation of it? And I've been with you, hung out with you a few times. I've taken note of some things that you bring with you when you come over.
Yeah.
Chicken, spices, spy technology.
Yeah.
Came to our attention this week. Lachlan and I were talking about it yesterday when we were having our post-game meeting.
Which
you might be a spy.
Which I'm not part of, so it's okay.
Well, I made that up. He just called me last night about something else. He's like, hey, did you know this? And I'm like, no. And he says, I'm pretty sure that our friend Ryan Lindley is a spy for the Chinese Communist government.
Yeah.
I'm also a big pusher of John Shea. Don't forget that.
So. Well, then it's all coming together.
Yeah.
So can we talk about your Huawei phone?
Huawei.
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 Yeah.
Because this week, Justin Trudeau, the prime minister of this country, useless bag, did something actually pretty fascinating where he's like, by the way, we can't use Huawei phones because they're fucking all spied up, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They're all spied up. How do we know that? In 2012, Australia's telecommunications network was under attack when a software update with a malicious code was installed on Huawei devices. Made in public, happened in 2012 and again in 2019. This is not a small thing, Ryan. This is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm worried.
Or should we call you Ryan Wong Lindley?
That's another great question.
Racism aside, I'd like to remind everybody that Rogers, TELUS, and Bell all carried Huawei phones up until 2 years ago, a year ago. We got ours, I think, 3 years ago. We upgraded. Ashley got another iPhone. And I was sold on Huawei because they were using Leica camera lenses.
That's what they all say.
I'm a bit of a photo nut because I like to take pictures of my pretentious prick food. And
that is true.
Yeah,
but
and
that could
and
be
they
a
actually
cover.
They have like a multi-camera
here
system.
we go.
They did that before your they did that before your iPhones all did that. And yeah, and also if you'll remember, we had a conversation the weekend that I was over to see you and brought my spy gear, and I told you about my friend.
A lot of it.
Yeah, I told you about my friend that used to work in telecom and worked for. He actually worked for Huawei. He's the one who talked me into it, and he may be Asian.
Oh, weird.
So
weird.
Yeah.
So whoa.
So not only have you got the gear, you've got friends
that forced you into the relationship with your spy phone that you've been using to spy on me, spy on us,
huge. Like all of
spy on family, spy on people. Are you sending this information back to the Chinese Communist Party on a daily basis?
I don't have to.
No?
They just take it.
Suck it
I don't
up.
send it. I don't actually have to effort. I put no effort into it.
Well, that's
all of our company stuff is on that phone too, which is pretty alarming. Yeah.
You're going to end up in Guantanamo Bay soon.
How does that go again?
Is that anywhere near Guantanamo Bay? Easy for you to say.
You're going to end up in Guadalajara Bay.
Guantanamo Bay.
Listening to Barney music really loud.
Doesn't that bother you? Like, I did some reading. The federal government banned Huawei from working on Canada's fifth-generation networks, 5G. Over security concerns, a decision critics said was long overdue. The move puts Canada in line with intelligence allies like the United States, which have expressed concerns about the national security implications of giving Chinese tech giant access to key infrastructure.
You know what? I actually...
the government...
I didn't know that they had 4G gear in Canada. I thought they were just doing all the upgrading.
Oh, dude.
And we're
not only
did
did
the 5G contract.
They've had it in Canada for a long time. The government's banning ZTE, another Chinese-backed state telecommunications firm. Government policy said they're going to have the companies have to get all the shit out from, and they got till 2024 to unload it all and use other people's shit from other countries that don't spy on us. Having to remove or terminate any existing 4G equipment provided by those companies by 31st of December, the 2027. This is all espionage related, by the way. Apparently, there's backdoors into these phones or some kind of program or code that lives in these phones that collects information and to some extent sends that information back to somewhere or something in the age where information is legitimate terrorist currency. So I'm going to ask you again. Are you a communist spy? Yes or no?
I've been called a communist for sure.
You, Ryan? Are you a communist spy? Yes or no?
It's for your own protection.
It's for your own good.
I can't say yes or no. I can't tell you guys that. I can't answer that question. You know
what happens if you do?
That's classified.
You know what? There's the phone.
Has something to
snobs.
do with my nuts.
There's the phone snobs, right? Like you always had that guy that was always like, I got a Samsung, right? Those guys. And then there's the real phone snobs like this guy right here. I've got the Huawei. That's all that is you're just like a phone hipster.
No, you know what it really was? It was for the camera, I swear to God. And I was an iPhone junkie.
You know,
And
12 out of 12 spies for the Chinese government said they got it for the camera.
I went out and it fully intended on getting another iPhone. And then I saw it and I went, Paul's been bugging me to get one of these. So I talked to
Paul, the guy that worked for Huawei?
Yeah, I forget. The guys at Rogers, and they said, well, it's got, and that's when they explained the camera, and they said, we have a demo one here. And I said, well, because I really love the fluidity of a iPhone. I don't like that clunky Samsung Galaxy. When you push it, you got to wait. I don't like that. Yeah. So I said, if it acts like a iPhone, I'm sold. I'm totally in. And it's like a $1,200 or $1,300 fucking phone. And you want to talk about this phone. You want to talk about how pissed off I am. If they're discontinuing my phone, why didn't Canada do its due diligence beforehand? And now I'm stuck with a phone that I'm not going to be able to use. Who's paying for that? Justin going to send me a fucking check for my phone?
No, it's because you chose wrong when you decided to become a commie spy for the Chinese Communist Party.
So let me ask a question. If they start yanking...
That's why I drink on this podcast.
If they start yanking the ZTE and the Huawei technology from the infrastructure of our cell phone companies, is it going to impact your plan, or will your Huawei spy phone still work?
I don't know if it's going to work anymore. Like, from what it sounds like they're shutting them right down, which at the end of the day, when it comes to a matter of national security, I agree. That's fine. If you're worried about Xi Jinping seeing what I watch on Pornhub, fine. Get angry and take my phone, but compensate me for it, because I own this phone free and clear. I'm not on a contract with Rogers. I don't owe them my soul like everybody else does every 2 fucking years.
You think you own the phone, but the commies own you, and you own the phone.
So I guess they actually own it. I mean, right. If I was a spy,
here's my question.
Fucking brilliant plan, though, eh? Like they had where they were going to go, oh, we'll give you all this free stuff. We'll just put it in, and it's 5G. It's so much better than the 4G and the 3G. We're the 5G, and they're like, yeah, sure. Canada for a few years was like, the rest of the world for a few years was like, sounds great. And then all of a sudden, someone's like, wait a tick.
What's in the gear?
Should we look in the gear? Should we look inside the receivers and the phones and the gear that they're sending over for free? Should we just wait a tick? And then all of a sudden they started looking and they're like, there's a bunch of spy shit in here.
Apparently there's more of those Huawei phones in the world than iPhones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because in China has a couple billion people, right?
Love them. Right.
Oh yeah. But no, it's a sleek little unit. It's one of the first ones that had that beveled screen, like that curved screen, so that when you're watching stuff, it goes right to the
love beveled
edge.
Screens. It's also in the study. Yep.
And then as it says, it's got a Leica lens.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
That'll Leica all the stuff you do and send it to guys in China.
Do you know anybody with a Huawei phone?
China Leica you. Dude, Linz is the only guy I know that has a Huawei phone.
You're the only one that I know.
Yeah, and Lachlan and I were shit-talking you last night behind your back, and he's like pretty sure he's a spy. I'm like, pretty much explains everything. His NDP leanings.
He's a commie. He's a total commie.
Anyway, I just found that fascinating because
Canada's
like, hey, listen, we just found out there's a bunch of spy gear in our network, so we're going to get rid of China's stuff. And then Lindley's sitting there going like this, what the fuck with my phone?
Yeah, leave my phone alone.
Did they prove that there was anything in the gear? Like, did they legitimately find something? Because
several times.
Yeah.
Okay, they did, eh?
Back in the day, and that's why I thought, because I had the same hesitancy, even though I have a friend that worked for Huawei Canada.
No, we already know you had a friend that was. That's how they recruit, by the way, through friends.
Yeah, well, my friend is going to be an asset to this network shortly. So, sorry, I shouldn't use the word asset. My handler doesn't like it when I say asset. He's going to be a friend of this network shortly. But he talked me into it, and even as like I've known him my whole life, and I was still hesitant. I'm like, yeah, but it's Huawei. Like, isn't that weird? You know, same thing that I knew about from Australia. And I thought to myself, there's no way the government, being the competent, fantastic people that they are, would allow any sort of product into our country under their nose without knowing what's going on, right?
You know what? No, that's a
And-
great point. And to that point, your wife agrees. She just sent a little comment here. She's like, Paul, your friend is so nice, but that's what he would want me to think.
Yeah, so I'm a little miffed. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't actually looked into the whole story yet. You probably know more than I do, because they like to keep me in the dark. That's what makes me an effective agent.
Well, I'm not a commie spy, or sorry, friend. I don't have a Huawei phone.
Well,
there you go.
If it's my understanding, they're actually going to not even allow them to operate within the country on any sort of network, regardless 5G or not. That's my understanding. And again, I'm out a phone that's worth $1,500 almost. So
Well, it's really only worth dude, you should sell it. Say, you do a whole gimmick around it. Say, listen, I got this great phone, great camera. It was a spy phone used in some serious espionage. I've wiped it clean. I think if anybody want it, you can get $1,000 for it. Then you can go get a refurbished iPhone or maybe a flip phone or go rotary. There's no way they can track you on rotary. Yeah, I do too.
I want one of
Anyway,
the
just
Remember the bag
we
phone?
had to get to the bottom of it. I had to figure it out. Yeah, I had one of those. I had the
Glad
bag
we
cell
did
phone
this.
in my car. Yeah, I am
I feel
too.
better.
I do too, because I was a little nervous. Like, you're on with us. You have access to our tech. We don't know what secrets you're sending back to the mothership.
Yeah.
We have no idea. Right?
You're also the number 7 podcast in Beijing today. Just so you're aware.
Hello, everyone.
Slow day, boys, or what's going on? You got nothing to talk about? What the fuck?
Oh,
is
dude, there's tons to talk about. Tons. Like, so much stuff. Some of it's terrible, too. Have you guys been paying attention to what went on in Texas yesterday? The Robb Elementary School. It is an elementary school, and I think you say Uvalde, Texas. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Where a man named an 18-year-old named Salvador Ramos walked into an elementary school and killed 21 people. 19 of them grade 4 students that had just are graduated from grade 4, getting ready to go to grade 5. They had their honor roll stuff that day. Kids are, parents were there earlier in the day posting pictures of their beautiful kids. All 10-year-olds and in the 4th grade. And the fire rages again. Where we sit around and we, say thoughts and prayers, and people, on the backs of this tragedy look for performance art points on Twitter and social media. And, you got the same groups of people that own guns today that are standing around, whether you're in the United States or Canada, making this about their gun collection and not wanting to give it up, and then trying to tell everybody that's mental illness that leads to this kind of stuff. And I didn't really want to talk about this today because it's pretty fucking gross, and it's incredibly fucking sad, and it's the 223rd mass shooting in the United States this year. Did you guys know
It's
that?
the 27th school shooting, mass school shooting this year. 27 times somebody has gone into a school and killed multiple people. 27 times in one country, mass shooting, school.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And, it's a week after Buffalo, and we talk about guns, and we talk about, all the bullshit that comes when you see mass tragedy, right? Like we try to, there are groups of people out there that use these things to further their own narrative. There are groups out there that use these things to, put out a tweet that talks about something that other people will look at. You can get that sweet spike of like, look at me feeling while your families are, trying to figure out why their kids aren't coming home tonight because some asshole with a couple of guns that he bought on his 18th birthday with no background check in the United States, along with 375 rounds of ammunition. 375 rounds of ammunition for his AR-15, which is an assault rifle, right? And we've talked about this before, how, you don't really need a weapon of war to operate in any country unless your country is at war. These are the last several school shootings in the United States, actually mass shootings, every single one of them, AR-15, Tree of Life Synagogue, Sutherland Springs, Pondway Synagogue, Midland and Odessa, San Bernardino, the Waffle House, remember Sandy Hook, AR-15. Aurora, the shooting in a movie theater, if you remember that. Vegas was an AR-15. Parkland, Orlando, Boulder, Buffalo, AR-15, and of course yesterday was yet another AR-15. Yeah. So while we sit here and try to digest something that's as terrible as what we saw yesterday in Texas, Steve Kerr yesterday had 3 of the most impactful minutes I've ever seen when it comes to advocating for the right thing where gun control is concerned. And I don't want to go down the road of like chastising gun owners in this country or especially responsible people. It's not about that. It's about the children, but it's about power, right? It's about this power that certain people want, and they cater to other people to help those executive relationships. We talk about this all the time. And Steve Kerr nailed it. Absolutely nailed it yesterday.
Do you know his backstory just before you play it?
Steve Kerr's?
About his dad?
I do not know about his dad. No,
his dad
I don't.
Was shot and killed by an assassin in the Balkans.
Oh, was he? Recently? Or years ago?
I don't know. I just saw a flash about it today on Twitter. His dad is actually a victim of an assassin's bullet. So that's why he's very passionate about this.
And his dad was a politician, wasn't he?
I think so. I'll have to look it up.
Okay. No. Oh, this is coming back to me now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to know more about that, but I didn't know, and I appreciate you telling me.
When his dad died. I think he was quite young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. It's guys like him that are community leaders, and Greg Popovich and guys like that speak out, that use opportunities, like right before conference final in the NBA playoffs, where he says, fuck basketball. Let's talk about why this is happening and who is benefiting from this. And it's 3 minutes. Would love everybody to watch it. And love everybody to kind of sit and digest. If you're listening to this on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, etc., good. If you want to watch this, you can watch this on YouTube on our YouTube channel, Dean Blundell Show, on YouTube on Twitch, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch as well. But it's super impactful, and I wanted to play it for you because it's very important. I think it's one of the most important 3 minutes that I've seen when it comes to gun control and doing the right thing on behalf of a very scared nation and kids that can't even fucking go to school and get through our class without getting shot. Watch this.
I'm not going to talk about basketball. Nothing's happened with our team in the last 6 hours. We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter. Since we left shoot-around, 14 children were killed 400 miles from here, and a teacher. And in the last 10 days, we've had elderly black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California. And now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this, to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
Heavy shit. Very heavy shit from Steve Kerr. He's the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, whose dad was shot, you said, when he was a young man. Is that what I understand, right? If that's correct?
Yeah, he was the he was a professor that was over in Beirut, and his dad's name was Dr. Malcolm Kerr, and he was killed during the Lebanese Civil War in, I believe, 1982. He was warned apparently by the American embassy before he went over to that his life was in danger, and that he said, "I don't care. I'm gonna do the job anyway. This is what I do, and I want to make a difference, and I want to help." And terrorists put 2 bullets in his head, and even Reagan was the president then. He made a statement about it, saying that Malcolm was a highly respected member of the academic world who worked tirelessly and courageously to strengthen the historical, culture, and academic ties between the United States and Lebanon and other countries in the Middle East. So it's understandable why he's so passionate about this. And somebody asked in the comments, why is a sports guy coach talking about this and the politicians aren't? And well, that's what we're all asking that question today. Why is it that we're getting real words from people, real families, mothers? I saw a lady screaming in her car that wasn't even really connected. She's just had enough and put a video out because she was so frustrated. And Steve Kerr, on behalf of professional sports, makes a statement using his time. And he knows, like you say, when you have that privilege and you have that, you use it. He's using it properly. And we get the Care Bear stare from the GOP and the thoughts and prayers, and we lift you up. And somebody cultivated Ted Cruz's tweets over the last couple of mass shootings, and they're copy and paste is what they are, and that's all they do, because it's
it's the same thing, right? Because the gun lobby is so strong, and there are so many guns in that country, and their Second Amendment right literally says you're allowed to have a gun and do whatever you want with it as long as you don't commit any crimes, and that doesn't stop crazy people from doing crazy shit that have guns. But I'll tell you this: when everybody says guns don't kill people, people kill people. That kid, that young man that went in there and off that entire grade 4 classroom yesterday wouldn't have done it if he didn't have access to those rifles, if he didn't have access to purchase.
Well, and he was posting online. It would have been very simple to do a background check on him. And there's no way, if that law was in place, that he would have been able to purchase those guns at that time. I ran that clip from Steve Kerr as my sportscast all morning.
Yeah, it was great.
We didn't
everything about sports on 95.7 today was that speech, and I commend you for that, Locke. That was really that was impactful.
I heard that this morning. I watched it, and I was just like, you know what? I can't write sports today.
Yeah. Well, you can't.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much for you to handle if you're a parent. It's too much for you to handle. Like, we don't understand it because we don't come from a gun culture country. You know, we don't protect our right to bear arms. We're afraid of them because we know that they're dangerous and deadly. And when you put them in the hands of crazy people, they'll hurt others with them. And we're seeing it now. But I was thinking today, and I tweeted about it yesterday. Well, like, if you're a fucking parent in the United States, how on earth do you confidently send your child to school at this point? 27, did you say? 27 mass shootings in schools this year alone? 225 or 223 mass shootings in the United States.
They had to increase it to 4 because a mass shooting a couple years ago was only 2, and then there was too many of them. So now to qualify for a mass shooting, you actually have to have killed 4 people. So that's 27.
What are they doing? They changed the rules of mass shootings so that the mass shootings wouldn't qualify as mass shootings because there's so many mass shootings.
That's fucking insane.
It's the Doug Ford way of policy making. Just move the goalposts and everything looks good on paper now.
But seriously, how the fuck do you guys? You have kids. We all have kids.
Yeah.
Let's say we all get a gig together being podcast freaks down in the United States, and our kids are 5, and this happened.
I wouldn't go.
You sending them to school? Are you even moving there at this point?
No.
Would you
No.
ever?
No.
And the
Not in
people I heard
States.
from after I tweeted, how on fucking earth are you going to send kids to school? The people I heard from were all from the United States, and they're like, we're considering homeschooling. One guy's like, hey, listen, we bought our son a flak jacket and a flak backpack.
They sell
A
them
flak
actually. You can buy a
backpack.
flak backpack.
A flak backpack. That's what they bought their child to go to school. Another person sent me a note and said,
You can get a Star
every
Wars
week,
one, Care Bear one.
every
Batman,
week,
Spider-Man
our
backpack
son,
with-
every week, our son has to practice hiding.
A drill. Yeah.
It's called the active shooter drill. Our son has to practice hiding. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, every week. And then he comes home from school and he tells me they had hiding practice. That's what the person said. Then I got a note from Rain Maida. He's the front guy from Our Lady Peace. He's a friend of the show. Good dude. He's like, it's literally a war zone, motherfucking insanity. This was from Friday. This is his son's school, Beverly Hills High School. It's probably a nice school. A note that he got, urgent message from the principal. Beverly Hills High School and the district office have been placed on preventative shelter in place, not locked down by Beverly Hills PD. As a precaution, class instruction is continuing. Parents, please do not come to the school. Beverly Hills Police Department is on the ground. We'll keep you posted. That's from the doctors of the school, Dr. Breggy and Mr. Mead. Like, that was just yesterday. People were talking about privilege. Guy goes, is a very successful couple, lovely people, Chantel and Rain. They send their son to the Beverly Hills. There's an active shooter there because there are 400 million guns in that country and very, very, very angry young men that are running around killing people.
Well,
This kid,
Disenfranchised, angry. This kid this young man that shot them, his name's Salvador Ramos. He shot his grandmother prior to actually leaving. There's a bunch of pictures of him cross-dressing, running around, and he's got all kinds of issues that he had growing up. I'm not going to feed into any narrative for one side or the other than the side of these children, which did not deserve to die. They did not deserve to die yesterday. No child deserves to die trying to get an education, sitting in class, ever. And I can't imagine if I had to move down to the United States, what the fuck would I do with my kids? I mean, they're older. I've got one kid in grade 10 who literally gets on his bike, goes a few blocks to school, and I have full confidence that he's going to come home. He's home now. He walks up the stairs, and I broadcast from home, and he's like, comes past the office, and he's like, hey, Dad. Yesterday, hey, Dad, he says, hi, son. How are you? Good. And I had this thing on my mind. He launches into how they have this uniform blitz on at school. They got this uniform blitz. I hate it. It sucks. Can't even go to school. I wear what I want to wear. It's unbelievable. And I sat and listened. And then he started to talk about other things that he didn't like that day. And I sat and listened. He's a wonderful young man. And I brought up this picture of what happened on my phone. I said, hey, read that. Okay? Just read this. Because that's a tough day at school. Your uniform's not that big of a deal. And he said to me last night when we were sitting around, we had dinner, and he's like, sorry about freaking out about my uniform. It's just like, it's all relative. And I go, yeah, it is all relative. It totally is. He said, but can you imagine having to wear that, like me having to go and find a source of flak jacket for you to go to school, specifically in your uniform colors? Because, man, you'd get in trouble. Or like a backpack with a bulletproof lining
Plates.
on it so you don't get shot. Could you imagine showing up to school and having to do hiding practice from an active shooter every Monday? Here's where you go. Here's what you do.
it's the same group of people that said that the wearing a mask would torment and mentally damage the children, but making them hide under a desk in an active shooter drill, I guess that's okay. I remember when Sandy Hook happened, I was sitting with my daughter, and she was about the age of the kids that were killed yesterday. And I remember we were sitting in a sushi restaurant, and the TV was on, and it was just breaking as we were sitting there. And she was too young to understand what was going on. The volume wasn't on, but I was watching. And I just kept looking at her going, and I kept asking the same question: what would I do? I couldn't send her to. I'd have to be there with her, and I couldn't do it. And I took time to process it, and I thought, yeah, there's absolutely no way. And then I remember thinking to myself, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen happen in my time that I can remember watching.
22 kids, wasn't it? I think it was 22.
And it won't.
Yeah.
And you know what? You have that weird. Wow, that's everybody's healing things. Thank God that's not going to happen. And sure enough, here we are again. Exact same situation, just a little older this time.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy for me, and I said this to my wife last night when she said, "You got to turn the TV off. I can't do this anymore." I said, every other society, every other group, every other country in the world, if that happened, they would be falling all over themselves to do something to affect change.
Like Scotland did.
Scotland, Australia, there's countless examples.
Yeah.
In the States, they just blink this away, and you can't, there's nothing you can say anymore. Like that's why I ran the Steve Kerr thing all. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, what do you say? You can't chastise people. You can't, like, every time we've had a mass shooting like this too, I've made comments on the air, and I always get somebody trying to fight with me about it on text too. I stayed off the text. I can't even bring myself to fight with somebody. If you are defending guns or this situation on any level, you are the worst human being on the planet. Like, just go crawl into a hole. But there are people out there that are, it's my right. It's time to put guns in the schools. Give the teachers guns. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
It's just,
well, and that's that good guy
They're
with
sick.
a gun mentality. And did you hear what this kid did? He shot his grandma, got in the car, crashed the car, then was pursued by police who shot at him, and he still made it in the school and killed 21 people. So the good guy with a gun theory, go fuck yourself.
And was in there for half an hour before they could take him out, and he had
That's
already
right.
killed the whole classroom. Right? So it's not good guys with guns. It's just guns. Guns kill people. We have a gun problem. We have a gun problem in Canada. And the world is full of angry young men that are allowed to have guns, specifically in the United States. No background checks, and this is what you get. You get crazies with AR-15s and 375 rounds of ammunition that they were able to buy with their fucking birthday money.
You know what I said on the air one time? This was a couple of years ago. I said, you don't need an AR-15. You don't need it. There is nobody on the planet that will convince me that you need that. You don't need it. Nobody needs that gun. Whoa, people were pissed at me. I think I had 3 days of messages and people writing me long.
Well, it's because
emails to
it's what they
explain why I was
want,
wrong.
right? Dude, it's what they want. And what they want is to be able to have those guns. They also want to be able to tell you that they are in no way any danger if they do have those guns. And then they do stuff like show up to Justin Trudeau's rally in British Columbia with a fucking hangman's noose like they did yesterday. These are the same people that are advocating for the freedom to be able to drive and own whatever it is they want to drive and own, no matter who it puts in danger. And these are not normal fucking people, my friends.
No.
These are people that have an axe to grind. And seemingly it's in the young men community. It's in like men 18 to 35, really disenfranchised, who are being told everything's being taken away from. And there's a litany of other issues. And I will say this, I'm trying very hard to stay away from two words: mental illness. Trying to stay very hard to stay away from those people. Because as someone who has been treated for and takes his mental health very seriously, I don't go around shooting people with guns because I'm disenfranchised or I've had things taken away from me. But it's the wants and the needs crowd. I go back to this every time. In this situation, it might be a little different because he was emotionally fucked and let like a literal, not just a breadcrumb trail, like a trail of loaves of bread to the idea that he was a terroristic little shit, right?
Same
and
with
nobody
the guy last
paid
weekend
any
in Buffalo.
attention. Yeah.
Last
Same
week
with
in
this
Buffalo, that guy
exact
was on
same
an active watch list.
Yeah.
How
But
active is
America
that
doesn't
watch
care.
list?
I think this guy might have been on some level too. They
he was.
had their sniffer on this guy too.
Yeah. But, 45 minutes later, shoots his grandma, offs an entire grade 4 class. And the reason why is because guns are absolutely part of America's culture. and he is unwell. And unwell people are absolutely allowed to buy guns with absolutely no background checks, specifically in Texas, where they have some of the loosest gun laws in the United States of America. And then I sat and watched literally 40 white people on stage, including Governor Greg Abbott today, go, we're so sorry for all this. Didn't address anything. Didn't address guns, didn't address gun violence. And Beto O'Rourke, the guy who's running against him to be the next governor of that state, he interrupted it. He's like, you're not fucking doing anything. And then he got yelled out and escorted out by the police. Escorted out by the police. And all these old fat guys with guns on their holsters are like, you're not helping. You're not helping. You know, he's trying. I think there's a lot of people. And common sense isn't common when it comes to what people want. You know, the common sense goes out the door. And so in America, people want guns and they get guns and they're allowed to buy them and sell them. And in Canada, you know, there's lots of days, and I got a lot of these last night when I'm like, how does a parent in the United States send their child to school confidently, knowing that they're going to come home, and they don't?
That's a reasonable question. I'm sorry, but that's
super
a reasonable
and a lot of fucking amazing responses. And I saw a lot of responses. There's a New Jersey teacher, a female, lovely lady, who's like, I was a teacher in New Jersey for 15 years. 4 years ago, my family moved everybody up to Vancouver. That's where she lives now, because gun culture was such a pain in the ass. And she had seen so much violence in her school. She left behind her pension. She left behind all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I got another a tweet back from somebody who was like, our family moved for this very reason. There was a school shooting down the road. And we're like, enough. We're never going to go away from guns. There are 400 million guns rolling around in that country right now. 400 million. 400 million. There's 350 million people that live in that country. So it's more than one gun per person. And some of these people have like storage facilities full of weapons just in case fucking D-Day happens. Just in case, like, you know, aliens come down and all this shit, because they're so fucked in the head down in the United States. And the baked in idea that it is your right, which we don't understand up here because it has never been our right? So we've got this incredibly healthy appreciation for people that, or for human life, because we don't take for granted the power of a gun that you have in your pocket. The second you point it at someone, literally just gently squeeze the trigger, it will kill them and alter everybody's life in and around that situation. Mm-hmm. Everybody's. I get that, but there's literally 350 million other people who don't. And I don't understand. It does not compute. It does not compute. Like cultural things from other countries we don't get doesn't compute either, right? That is a cultural thing from that country that is so third world to me. No, it's like burping at dinner.
It's a sickness. That country has got a cultural illness that they don't have a remedy for. They can't fix it.
Yeah.
Because you can't say anything. You can't call it anything other than that. Like people defend their right to own weapons after 21 kids age 10 get killed by a man who went into a fucking arena for a gun show and bought a bunch of guns and ammo.
Yep.
They defend it. They defend their right to own weapons. There's no other that's an illness. You got to call it what it is. Yep. Did you guys watch Ozark, right? Both of you?
Yeah.
I didn't finish it
2 nights ago. Yeah, I finished it. It's fucking best ending to a series I've seen in a long time.
Really? Okay,
yeah,
that's another conversation. We'll have to have that ending conversation down the road. But I just remember one of the most powerful pop culture moments in years was in that show. And it was so well done. And it was such a subtle little fuck you to American gun culture. I don't know if people caught it, but it was brilliant. And I think I get the sense that who's the main guy? Jesus, why does his name always escape me? The main
Jason
character.
Bateman.
Jason Bateman. I think it was his little, because if I'm not mistaken, he directed this episode. So do you remember the handicapped boy that worked out at the fishing lodge? Tuck?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and he liked Bob Seger. That, and he was played that song over and over again. And Jonah wanted a gun to protect the family, his son, the bird son. Yeah. He sent Tuck into the hardware store. Remember that?
Yeah.
To buy him a rifle, and there was that sort of an exchange with the kid. And and Tuck ends up with a gun, and then meets his buddy Jonah out, and he rides off on his bike with a fucking semi-automatic weapon. I just remember thinking to myself, wow, that was brilliant. So well
but that's
done.
the culture down there, dude. Like, I've got friends that have kids down there, and they're all gun owners, and they all tell me the same thing, right? They're responsible gun owners. Dude, I've got family members that actually own some of these guns as well. And I don't get it. I'll say the same thing to him. What's the point? He's like, sports shooting. I'm like, you need an Uzi for sports shooting. Is that correct? He's like, yeah, well, I just love the feeling of it. And I'm like, oh, that's good. That's exciting.
Need that gun.
No,
if
you
you're
don't.
a hunter and you've got a gun,
you don't need a Glock
up,
to go kill a bear.
No, you don't need a
you
Glock.
You don't need an AR-15 to go deer hunting. Nobody.
No, you do not.
Nobody's bringing them either to do that. And anybody that tells you they are is a liar. So.
What'd be great is if all the hunters, the responsible guys that actually agree with us that do own guns and don't own those guns, just take out the guys that actually love those guns but are not hunters. Right? That would be incredible. Like, if these guys started fucking policing themselves, if like an arm of the NRA broke off and it's like, no. We're going to do this other thing where we advocate for background checks and we advocate for against assault weapons being in the public square. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Steve Kerr said it, though. That's the bottom line is that, and he's not wrong. They're at a point in the United States of America where the gun lobbyists, the NRA, is so terrified of letting anything happen legally because of the amount of money that the gun culture creates that they're stopping everything. Any little movement on gun laws, any change at all, to them is seen as, okay, it's open territory. It's open season. Now we're all going to lose our guns. That's the way they think down there.
That's what they tell everybody when this happens.
Yeah, and that's what they're scared of. They think that, hey, you allow background checks, that just leads to this, the next thing, and then they'll cite examples like the cigarette companies or whatever. Like, they've got all the narratives lined up and ready to go. And as they protect these laws under the amendments down in the States, more and more people just keep dying every year. Like, it's crazy.
It's an interesting stat that I read too to kind of further what you're saying is that since Columbine, 300,000 kids have been killed in schools.
Yep.
300,000 gun violence.
Yeah, they're not all mass shootings.
No,
so these
a lot of them are. Most of
the
shootings actually are accidents at home.
That too.
That too. Again, the gun did it by itself, right? I mean,
because they're everywhere. It's like, oh, sorry, I tripped over my gun trying to reach for my gun, and I fired that gun. Like,
I think suicides and gun accidents are like 1-2.
Yep.
In the number of shootings, in the number of deaths by firearms in the United States, and we don't even have. It just doesn't happen here in Canada. We have gun violence in Canada, but it doesn't touch the numbers.
As of yesterday, the number one cause of was it child? It was childhood. They didn't say if it was adolescent or if it was like what the age, but they said childhood mortality. The number one cause of it is gun violence or gun accidents. It was caused
in the
by
States?
a gun in the United States. Yeah. Could you imagine the number one thing killing your kids? Some countries it's the flu, somewhere it's the Zika virus. No, there it's completely preventable. Completely 100% preventable.
That's the craziest part about it, right?
A vaccine was not, it was it all falls into the same bucket of you can't tell me what to do and I'm not changing nothing for you. I don't care. I guess I don't care how many kids die.
Yeah.
But if you think about what the Second Amendment was originally written for, and it was to protect from the overthrow of a government by a tyrant. I saw a great cartoon by one of the cartoonists out today where it was just a tally on a wall that just had school kids on one side and tyrants on the other, and the tyrant side was empty and the school side was full. So how long do we keep playing this game? Like, how long do we keep pretending? How long do we make believe that there's some sort of big scary thing? How long until somebody realizes that they really need to fucking They need to wake that country up. Like something needs to wake that country up.
Well, because these things are so jarring to me that I would just assume that it would have. Like I thought Sandy Hook would have made a difference, not so much. This would have made a difference,
there's
not so
countless
much.
examples of the of these stories that are so fucking jarring. You're like, what? You didn't do something there?
I was thinking about it today. You know, the hypocrisy of what's important to people in the United States, and just take Texas as a microcosm. Take Texas as an example. In Texas, you cannot get an abortion. The government of Texas has every right to a woman's womb and vagina. However, there are no rules about buying assault weapons. There are rules about terminating a pregnancy that could land you in jail and have your entire family arrested. However, an 18-year-old with bipolar disorder and a billion other things is allowed to go unfettered and purchase 2 assault rifles, 375 rounds of ammunition. Think about how fucked that is. Like, that's the reasonable limitations portion of Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms, is that there's reasonable limitation to assume that if you have way more guns in your country, you're going to have way more gun violence. So we do not have gun violence for a reason, and we do, not to this extent as these guys are pointing out. You know, and the reason why we don't is because no one can just walk in off the street and buy a rifle.
We make amendments
out of
to our gun laws all the time.
Yeah, and they're going to make more because of this. And I think that is a fucking great thing. And I'm not going to get into it with gun advocates. I don't care. I do not give a fuck about you. What I care about is this.
It's pointless. It's
fewer murderous weapons in this country and fewer murderous weapons around our children. That's what I really care about.
The sad thing is, I think there are a lot of responsible gun owners that are hunters that have a rifle at home that they use to hunt every year to put meat in the freezer. Mm-hmm. And I think most of them, the majority of them, would agree that, you know, they don't need an AR-15, or, you know, mom doesn't need a handgun to go to Sobeys, right? Like and your gun laws aren't going to change in this country to the point where you're not going to be allowed to have that gun to go hunt Bambi every fall. It's just not going to happen. It might end up being that anything even remotely classified as an assault rifle ends up being illegal, and you're not allowed to have it. And I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah, we're a country that does gun buyback programs. You know, like people will like, hey, listen, we'll pay you to get these things off the street. And
we've got our issues here, but I'll give credit to a whataboutism, which I normally don't entertain. And the one whataboutism that you get from these people a lot is, well, Trudeau lets fucking hot guns come through the border all the time. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. Our borders are fucking garbage. We need to up our border patrol, because you know why? And it's not even because of guns. It's because I don't trust the fucking neighbor downstairs right now at all. Yeah. Up the border patrol. Do it. Check every vehicle coming in from that country. Find every single weapon that comes through our borders. Do something that way. Absolutely. I'm 100%. But that doesn't discount the fact that we need tough gun control laws in this country to stay tough. I was in a band with a guy who worked at the border. He had a summer job, and they had 3 or 4 guys that worked at the border that took this on, and it was like a little bet to see who could get the most guns at the end of the summer. And when they were collecting handguns, everything, like assault rifles from Americans coming up. Yeah. That had no idea that they couldn't bring it into Canada. Yeah. And they had like, one guy had like 75 handguns or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck are you kidding me?
Travels with 75 handguns, or is like, fuck, I didn't know, dude.
No, they were collecting them through the summer, and then they would, hey, do you have any weapons? And then they would keep a tally. They had a tally in the back in the lunchroom. They had a chalkboard, and they were keeping, Jerry, Mike, Phil, and they were keeping track of who collected the most guns. And the one guy had, I don't know why the number stuck out at me. It was 74 or 75 handguns.
Wow.
They were collecting. Insane. And a lot of times they would, like, a guy would drive up in his RV, and they'd go, hey, have you got any firearms on you, sir? And he would go, Fucking rights I do. You want to see them all? And then they would take them to the back, open up a cabinet, and show them all the guns they had in the trailer, and they were on their way into another country. And it's just insane that these people.
Dude, I remember once I was at the Sumas, British Columbia border, and I was sitting there because I was getting ready to pay for something that I had purchased, and they're like, "There's duty on that. You got to go in and pay." And I'm like, "Okay." So I went in, took it in, ended up like something I bought for $30. The duty on it was $40, so it wasn't really that big of a deal at all. But whatever. And as I'm standing there paying for it, this guy comes in. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" It's like, "Good." Takes out a gun from his belt, puts it on the table, takes another gun out from the holster on his leg, and he puts it on the table. He's like, "Just checking these in. I'm going to the casino." And I'm like, wow, I've never seen that before. And the CBS agent's like, "Okay, thanks. Yeah, just sign here. Just need some ID. Need to see your passport. You can pick these up on your way back. Do you have any more weapons on?" He's like, "Nope." Guy goes, "Do we need to check you?" He's like, "Nope." He's like, "All right." He just went through and it was like one was a smaller gun, the other one was a bigger gun. I don't know what kind of gun it was. Might have been a Glock. I have no idea. But I just remember thinking to myself, "Oh, it's no big deal over there. Like, it's not that big of a thing. It's like, oh, here's my gun. Just check it at the border." And there's like, "Oh, no problem." But like, that's what we don't understand, right? And when you think about these mass shootings and how much they've happened, as terrible as it is, I'm shocked it doesn't happen more because of how normal it is to own weapons of mass destruction in the United States. Like, I'm shocked at it. And I remember that day thinking to myself, I don't even know how shit works. Like, I don't know how this works in the United States. My assumption was you show up to the border with a gun, you're going
to jail.
They're looking in your anus for things.
Yeah.
They're going to lock you up for a long period of time. You'll never be able to come to Canada again. But if you literally walk in and you say, "Okay, I'm going into Canada, just checking these guns, I'll pick them up on the way back," they do that. That's one of the things that they do.
What a nice service we do.
It's fucking wild.
When I was 18, I got stopped at the border and they took my car apart. Like, they fucking took doors off, seats out, and they found some weed. And then they kept my car. Zero tolerance.
Yeah.
Because I had a couple of joints in my camera case in my trunk.
You idiot.
Forgot it was in there.
Put him in a bag.
We went to Pennsylvania. My brother used to date a girl from Pittsburgh, and I was
Lost
about
my car.
12 or 13, the first time I've ever actually remember being in the States. And we were at some sites. She brought me around to show me Pittsburgh, and I was a big Steelers fan, so I got to see Three Rivers. And I'm looking at this guy standing next to me, and he's got a gun on his hip in a holster. And I thought, wow, that's weird. He must be an undercover cop. Like the cops normally. And she's like, and she laughed at me. She's like, "That's not a cop." She goes, "I could do that if I wanted to." I'm like, "You can carry a gun like out in the open?" Like, I was so shocked as a Canadian. I was, and she laughed. She says it's such a different. She wasn't a gun person, but she says it's so different down here than it is up there when it comes to guns. You guys have no idea. Everybody here carries a gun. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, why?
Because it can. Because it's in the Constitution.
Well, think about your guy that went to the casino. You literally, the most hazardous or risky part of your trip is the casino. So you had a gun for the drive. You dropped it off, went in without a gun to the place that you will get robbed. You came back, got a gun to drive home again. Like, what the hell? Are you fucking stupid?
No, speaking of stupid, I want to go back to Lachlan getting his car repossessed because he had two joints.
White Toyota Celica.
Oh my God.
Hot.
Dude, you forgot you had two joints in your camera bag, and they search your car, grab two joints, and they take your car. So you lost that car forever. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They just took it from you. All your insurance, all your shit in it, gone too. How'd you get home? Holy fuck, dude! I cannot believe you tried to go across the board. You called your mom. What was that phone call like?
Breakfast.
A ton of fun.
That chick magnet machine is gone.
Actually, I'll tell you. This is. My mother and I have a very interesting relationship. She was a child when she had me. She got pregnant. She's 15. She turned 16. 2 months later, she's got a bouncing baby boy that she named Lachlan. And Lachlan was a lot of work growing up.
I don't believe
also, Lachlan was wildly independent. And when I called my mother to come get me at the border crossing, at the Kingston border crossing, we lived in Yak, which is right on the border in southern BC. I said to her, I said, I'm in some trouble and I've lost my car. They found weed in my car. I'm going to need you to come get me. She drove down to grab me from the border crossing office, and I saw her pull up. So I walked down the stairs and she got out of the car and she looked at me and she started to do one of these. And I went, hold on. I said, Mom, I love you, but you kind of let me do my own thing and make my own mistakes for quite a few years now. And this is going to be one of those times where you're not going to get to say anything.
You're going to let me get away with this.
I know that I fucked up, and I know that this is something I should not have done. So we're not going to have that long, drawn-out conversation in the car ride home about all the reasons why I am a fucking idiot. Because I already know that the 2 joints in my camera bag in the trunk of my fucking Toyota Celica, which I loved, by the way, was not a smart thing to do, to go down and get some bacon and eggs at the fucking restaurant right at the border crossing too. I wasn't even going down any.
Did they look inside you?
In your arsenal?
No, I never got the strip search. I never got the none of that.
No, you didn't get the come hither finger in the old butthole.
No, I would tell you. You know, I would let you.
What are the repercussions though about the car? Do they like?
They called it zero tolerance.
Could you fight to try and get it back, or no? Like, just curious. Like, were you?
I had
or was it just like, all right, we're gone. See you later.
I had a court date, and if I had tried to fight it, I would have had to get a lawyer. And then I would have had to go down to the state. They never charged me with anything.
No, took a car or anything.
Yeah, they just took the car.
Oh, and they took the joints and smoked them too, by the way. Every single person that absconds drugs at the border takes those drugs and puts them in their pocket and then takes off and goes home and he smokes like a champion.
The irony of it is that you got a kid with 2 joints. They take his fucking car, but right across the border, you got people running around shooting each other.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. And if they would have just smoked those joints, they probably wouldn't have went out and shot anybody. So,
and dude, in Texas, it's the same. You can't get weed anywhere in Texas, but you can shoot a whole bunch of people. No big deal. You can walk around with an AR-15 slung over your back when you go get a Slurpee at 7-Eleven. But fuck you. Like, literally, fuck you if you think about smoking joint in public. Fuck
Did you guys ever watch that movie Hell on High Water? The 2 brothers got into some financial issues. Oh, fuck. It's a great movie. You guys need to watch it. Anyway, the 2 brothers are robbing banks in Texas, and there was this one scene where the brothers, they have breakfast at this little restaurant, and they wait for the bank to open up, and as soon as it opens up, they run in there, and there's this old fucking Texan in there, and they're robbing the bank, and he looks at them and goes, "Are you robbing the bank, boys?" And they're like, "Yeah, we are. Shut the fuck up." And then he fucking pulls a big fucking gun out. And boom, he can hardly contain the gun. But it's a scene. It's like, you know that's not too far from the truth. This is a Hollywood movie, but it's not too far from the truth of what potentially could happen if you're down there.
No, dude. My dad had a place in Texas for years, and he's on a golf resort. And the reason why he left is because he said, "I went to a church service." And the usher dropped his gun and it went off in church. And so your mom and I left. And I'm like, "Dude, you sold everything down there." He's like, yeah, it's a weird place. And he's like, my mom was like, "I'm scared, Jim." And he's like, "Me too. Let's get the fuck out of here." That's what he did. Tapatio, Texas. No word of a lie. I am not kidding you. It's fucking one of the great stories of all time. My dad's like, "Hey, why'd you sell the place?" He's like, "Fuck, we almost got shot in church."
Not even safe in a church.
Speaking of big guns, the fallout from Jennifer Valentine versus John Derringer continues. Wrote a piece about it at deanblundell.com. You can go read it. I know one of these guys quite well. Don't know Jen very well, but my opinion on it doesn't matter because the lives have already been affected. Have you been amazed at the coverage this thing is getting over the past couple of days? Because at first, it kind of came out late, nice and easy that this had happened, and you didn't hear much. Since Jen has put that out, we were the first people to put out an article in support of her. She needs support. All women in media need this kind of support who were absolutely mistreated, and Jen was. Not just by John, but by the system many times, by the company that she was working with many times as well. And so we continue to support the marginalized individuals, including these women. But I am amazed, I am amazed at the deluge of coverage when it comes to this story. This morning, Maureen Holloway, who absolutely has a reason to be pissed off and absolutely is part of this group of women who are saying, hey, this happened to me, and they should. John? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was on 1010 this morning. I heard her interview.
Yeah, she was on 1010 with John Moore. Great. And he's a good dude, too. And she was kind of airing their grievances. Prior to that, John Moore was on Breakfast Television or CP24, one of the two, literally going off in a way that I have never seen John Moore go off, where he was like, for years, we've heard the stories. If you know this person, you know about his abuse, it's been, many years in the making, this kind of stuff, where I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And everyone's all in. The Toronto Star is all in. Keep in mind, this is 2 months after writing an article on how great of a guy John Derringer is. Blog TO, the Toronto Sun is all in. They put out an article, and Joe Warmington's buddies with him.
Oh, yeah.
And so he forwarded another article. I haven't read it, but it came out of the Sun. You've got newspapers. You've got all the mainstream media guys. And what I found interesting is that John worked for, listen, he's never going to work in radio again. Okay, it's over. But he worked for a company called Chorus. Now, Chorus owns a company called Global. It's the same company. Mm-hmm. Global is putting out hit pieces on him today.
Well, doesn't that sound familiar?
Unbelievable. And listen, fully earned. Everybody in this situation, when all these people come forward and they're like, you did this to me and 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 me. This is a tax, and the tax is due, kids. This is paying the tax on years of the things that John did. And paying the tax on years of abusing people that he worked with, the privilege of working with these people. And their lives have been affected so absolutely negatively over a period of time that they've had to deal with this. Like, let me just take you through how these things happen, okay? In Jen's case, and she's really the only one I want to hear from, but I'm really happy that these other women are coming forward. And it's not just women, they're men. I've heard from a couple of different guys over the past 48 hours as well. Is that here's how it happens. John would mistreat somebody over a period of time. That person would then get stressed out to the point where they would want to go and talk to their program manager. In this case, John's program manager is also a female. Her name's Tammy. Apparently a very nice lady. I don't know her, but very nice lady. So conundrum, right? Like, this is happening time after time after time, and your manager's a female and all this other stuff. Very difficult situation to balance. Very difficult. Mm-hmm. Now, here's how this happens. Someone complains. They go to John. They say, this is bad. You got to fix it. John makes an attempt to fix it. A few weeks go by. John slides back into the old behavior. Then John has to go to sensitivity training. I've been there, too. It's not a lot of fun. Then John has to go to sensitivity training or anger management as part of an agreement they make with this person. If this person continues to stay on the show, and then you're hoping then that John sort of starts to try to come around, and and then that doesn't work, and then the person's apoplectic in Jen's case, which is what it sounds like, and she goes to the president of the company, a guy named Doug Murphy, and she's like, hey, listen, this is still happening. He's like, is it really?
It's still happening.
Is it really happening?
We sent him to anger management.
But we sent him
I can't believe it didn't work again for the 30th time. It's so hard to believe. So, all that stuff aside, what happens is
we'll
they
give
get
him
to
another
a point
bonus. Maybe that'll make him happy.
Where they look at John and they go, we know that you're a cash cow because he's a revenue generator. We know that you're a Heritage Morning Show. We know that we cannot afford in a dying business to lose you and the book that you come with and all the revenue you generate. plus of all the other, like millions and millions and millions. Long story short, they then fire or move that person out. In Jen's case, this is what they did. I know this is what happened with Maureen. I know this is what happened with several other people that the man has worked with, and this is very, very common in the industry. It's not just Chorus. It's all of them. They'll say to someone, we're going to give you the money that you deserve and that you've earned on the way out. It's not working out for a million reasons. They'll maybe cite the person and a couple of things they did just to kind of make it look like it's legitimate. Mm-hmm. Then they'll say, we want to give you the money. So here's the money. But to get the money, you got to sign right here. Now, what is this thing you're signing? It's called a non-disclosure agreement. So they make these women or people that get punted from this industry. I signed one when I left the Edge. If you say a fucking word, we're going to sue you into next week and take all that money back. And you'll never work in the industry again. And that is intimated to these women and these people in this industry when they are being NDA'd.
They do it to everybody.
Do it to everybody.
It's not a gender thing.
No,
it's a legal strategy.
But I'm just talking about this situation. And
anytime you have any sort of shit walls that are going to collapse in, they try to prop them up with fucking.
But hang on. Things. Let me ask you. Let me ask a question, and it's a rhetorical question, but it's a rhetorical question for a reason. Why would a company who says that they're interested in doing the right thing for all their employees all the time, who says that they advocate for their employees and they're nothing without their employees, what are they trying to prevent those people from talking about? What is the big deal? The big deal is the abuse that they suffered. The big deal is the shit that they saw happen in that environment, which is absolutely not just illegal, it's untoward, it's totally inappropriate, and it is awful to do to another human being. Mm. That's why they get people to sign NDAs. And here's the catch. The people that sign them because they have to. They have to, or they won't get paid. They cannot feed their family. They cannot move forward. They cannot get closure unless they sign this thing. But when they sign it to get the money, and every company does it, they attach your money to your NDA. Yeah. When you sign it, you lose every right you have to be able to voice your opinion about how you were treated. That is why these women did not come forward, is because they physically and legally could not, or they thought they couldn't, until Jen had the stones to go, here's what happened to me. I've lodged a human rights complaint. Not right. Not right what happened to me in that building. Not right by what happened to me. And she's right. She's 100% right. Take away anything you want from what she said in the whole conversation. She told it from her side, and sure, she left out a lot of details. None of those things matter. What matters is that there are literally dozens of people, not just women, people coming out of the woodwork that worked with this individual that are like, me too. That's what matters. And the other part here that matters is that the people that are coming out of the woodwork were silenced on behalf of John Derringer by the people that worked with them and for them.
Yeah.
And that is such a fucking crime to me, because if you've never signed one of these things, and I was fortunate enough to do so, you literally lose all your confidence after you sign one. You're like, it's over, I got my money, but now I feel like a huge pussy.
Well, and what they do too is these companies, when they do the mass cullings every 6 months, where they fire 15% of their staff to appease the shareholders, they're also signing those things. So they have to, and they attach those things to your packages, your buyout, your walkaway papers. That's happening as well now too.
Maureen on Moore's show today said that along with that, anger management and other mitigating tools that they tried to use, apparently that included raises for the people that had to be around John Derringer, and there was a joke within the building, and they used to call it, instead of danger pay, it was called Derringer pay. And they literally tried to pay these people to stay and keep their mouth shut and just put up with his shit. So a lot of stuff is coming out, and I think we're going to learn a hell of a lot more in the next couple of weeks as more people
forward. Yeah.
Sorry, Linz. Can I say this? Like, I kind of know just a little bit Maureen Holloway. I would have loved to have seen some of their scraps.
She's
Like,
a
she's
legitimate-
firecracker.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
she doesn't put up with shit. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
awesome too. She's a wonderful human being. Like
That
I
would've
know
been
Maureen
amazing
and
to see
fortunate enough
her
to get to know
go
her.
toe
And
to toe with John.
she's doing some stuff with Matt Kundle and Wendy Mesley, Women of Ill Repute. It's going to be a great podcast where I'm sure you're going to hear all about this. And you know what? Fucking good for them from a cathartic standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, like just from the getting the dirge out and being able to talk about it. Because what happens is when guys like that, and listen, it's systemic. When guys like that are allowed to continue doing what they do and continue to be successful and continue to get remunerated and bonus and stuff like that, it doesn't make sense to the person who was abused. The person who was abused sits back and goes, how the fuck is the world supposed to work? Like, I'm literally doing every one of those things that I was supposed to do, and I'm out?
Yeah.
Like, I'm out of pocket. I'm out of a career. I'm out of confidence. I'm out of, like, hope. And I got to sit here and I got to watch that guy on my television and listen to him in the car when my husband's like, literally, you know, like the unfairness of that is mind melting to anybody. And some of these people have had to sit with it for 25 years. I had a conversation with someone that worked with him, who we work with. We'll go unnamed. Work with this individual up in Montreal. Left the city because of this person. Left.
Just up
Left.
and
Took a
down.
job in Edmonton because he just could not work with the guy anymore. Couldn't be in the same building as him. And those stories that you hear were accepted stories where you would just go, oh, he's so good at his job, he's mercurial. Well, that's not mercurial. It's abuse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you said about being the catharsis of it is important, because you got to figure when you're on that end, you're on the receiving end of that, like, and it's constant. You're alone. You feel isolated. You feel centered out. You feel like you're the only person that's taking the fucking bombs and the bullets, you know? So for them to come out, and I guarantee you, that's why you see so many people jump on this right now, is because they're like, oh my God, that's what happened to me. And now they've got a sense of, I can talk to you about this because you understand where I'm coming from, because they've tried every other angle. They went to management, they went to HR, they went to everywhere, and nobody, they understood, but they felt that resolve never happened for that person that was victimized by it. So now they have that resolve. They can find that resolve within each other, and I feel good for them for that. That's
you know what needs to happen from this though, and Dean was kind of touching on this yesterday, and I hope this came through when we were bouncing this around. This was brand new to us yesterday, so we were sort of working our way through it, and Dean has a much closer relationship to this story than we do, especially me. Like, we're not talking about it in Edmonton. I mean, my program director brought it up today in our meeting, and that's about it. It's not in the papers. It's not showing up in our news here. It's a big story
It's
in
fucking
Toronto and
everywhere here. It's like fucking front page news.
and it'll work its way across the country, but not to the extent, like, we're not going to get the same kind of coverage that you guys are getting it. But I think it speaks to a bigger issue. And again, I know your article also touches on this, is that what we have done to this industry, what's happening to this industry right now, and the untethered nature of what we've got going on, and what's been going on for 20 plus years with the consolidation of this business and the continued consolidation of this business. There's no more structure. There's no more management that can deal with this kind of stuff. And they need to take some ownership. The people that were involved in managing him and those buildings need to look inward and go, what part did I play in this? Because that's a big part of this.
That's their only way out.
Doesn't get said out loud. Is like, we have radio stations, we have program directors running 3, 4, 5, 6 radio stations. We have managers flying from one town to the next to oversee management in 3 buildings in a company. We regional managers, they call them. There is no more management in this business. There just isn't. And
just consolidated.
Listen, what we do doesn't It's not hard. It isn't. But the people involved in doing this job are lunatics, myself included, and they need management.
All the
They
management
need
they can
structure. They need some guidance, and they're not getting it.
No.
It's true. I didn't even think of it that way. You're right.
Yeah.
It's not like you're dealing with PhDs and whatever. You're dealing with and usually creative artistic people are not they're like herding cats, and you'd figure they would beef up that side and make sure that they had the supports there to make sure that they succeed. And now I'm talking into a pipe dream because I'm talking about radio in Canada. It's not exactly how it is. So
Well, and there's bigger problems. We've talked about it. We've touched on.
yeah.
I had somebody call me and talk to me about a position. And this individual said to me, he goes, I can't find anybody with an opinion.
Everybody's scared. Can I give my opinion? Don't you fucking dare. You just read that liner and talk about always heating and plumbing and introduce the song. Shut the fuck up.
Always
Because
Heating and Plumbing,
this is why.
the locker room sponsor.
I know. I
They
love
are
those
also
guys
bringing
too.
you a day in May, which we
I
do
know.
at 8 o'clock every day. Okay, now listen. I went down and I immediately changed my resume because I always just keep it ready and handy in case I need it. And I put at the top of it, has an opinion.
I'll get you hired right away. But
Oh,
and
boy.
I will say this is that what's left, right, in a situation like this. I said this yesterday. There are a lot of good people that work at Q 107, which is where John was a Heritage Morning
There's
Show
a
there
lot
for
of
a
good
very,
people that work
very
in
long
this
time.
business, Dean. I know
Tons.
you shit on it, but there's a ton
Tons.
of really good
No.
people.
I crap on the institution of it. I never dump
Not
on
the
the people.
No,
The
no.
people are the lifeblood, and those are people who I fight for. Those are the people that I point out that the
They're
culture
all on
isn't
your
great.
podcast
You need to-
network now.
Yeah, they're all
That's
here now.
Come unto me, children.
Alrighty. Follow me, and I will make you fishers of content.
You're-
Where you can work
you
for
become a
yourself.
landing pad for
The pod
for
father.
the Bell Let's Talk Cullings.
You should send Bella a fruit basket for all
Someone
the great
asked me the
talent
other
we
day,
get.
they're like, they said, I was telling Lachlan this last night. Someone called me last night and they said, they're going to call you and ask you to apply for the job, his job. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. Have you watched my shows? Have you seen how I talk
I'll
about the
bet money
industry
on it
itself?
right now. I'll bet
No
money you get
chance.
a call.
There is
I
no
know.
chance. Dude, I had the entire management team's pictures on the screen yesterday. I was yelling
No,
at them.
doesn't matter.
They won't do it. They
will
won't
call
do
you.
it. You know why? Because they're afraid of this happening again. This
Yeah.
doesn't matter why, but they're like, we cannot hire someone with an opinion or else we're fucked. Everything might go sideways. But my
This is a
answer was
different
no.
Situation.
No,
This
but
one
my
has
answer
a-
was
this
no.
one
And the
has a
guy's like,
bill on it.
what if they gave you $1 million a year? And I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
come on.
no, kinda.
Okay.
But I
know
was
what
thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, I don't think I could do it. And the reason why is because how do you put your future and your faith in the hands of people to manage like that? Right?
That is
Like, how do
true.
you go, oh, listen, I've climbed out of this dirty personal shit that I've been in for a long period of time. I'm on the precipice of building something with a bunch of wonderful people I'm
Gotta
super
swim
proud
out
of,
of it.
really happy about. I've been
In
swimming like
control of
fucking
everything you
crazy.
do.
And then
Yeah.
when someone comes up to me, and it's been said before, well, we'd like you to come and do this for us and leave that behind. I'm like, there's no way.
No.
There's no way. Because 2 minutes after that happens, they fire 100 people. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, and that's the thing. A lot of people will say that. Your buddy that calls you for a job and he's like, hey, do you want this job? And you're like, no. And he's like, well, fuck. And I can't find anybody that wants this high paying job where you have an opinion about something on the radio. And that's really the fucking shame, is that it scared a lot of people away. Like, the interpersonal stuff and the stuff we're talking about with John,
Yeah.
a long time coming, earned, support these women. Like I support John's effort to get better, and I do. I support John's effort to go and figure his shit out, to fucking grow up, because this is a sign of someone that doesn't have the ability to be able to navigate life. And so I want that for him, just like I want these women to get their pound of flesh, and men who are involved in this abuse and the conversation around it.
Mhm.
But my God, like, how does any and listen, it's one of those things where I'm like, Well, I would. But they would have to literally go, Dean, here it is. Just do whatever you want.
And we lose your phone number.
And put it on a 5-minute delay. Maybe I would. If I was allowed to do it from my own home and never go into work. Then I would. Or like once a month, twice a month, just to say hi and stuff like that.
Linz.
But you don't even need, and that's the thing, you don't even need to do it. Oh, yeah, he's convinced. He wants me to juggle the balls. I will not juggle the balls.
No, listen, hold on. To be fair, I said, listen, I respect the fact that you probably won't do it, and that's fair. What I said was you need to do the dance, and take the dinners.
That's actually not a bad idea if you're looking for like a free dinner.
Dude, it's like a good steak dinner, maybe
you know
two.
How much I hate going downtown.
Tell them I'm your agent. I'll go eat the free steaks.
Yeah, I'm not.
Fuck, that's a good idea, Linz.
No, you'd be
I'll
terrible.
take a camera.
I'm bringing my agent with me, Ryan Lindley.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a Huawei phone.
He's a commie spy.
Chinese communist spy.
Don't be alarmed. He's got a Huawei phone now. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if I could, man. I don't know if I could. And it's not even that gig. It's like all the other ones. No, they're not.
Your
They're
name
not
has
going to
come
call.
up. They're in a
lot of
boardroom right now, and they're sitting there going, all right, who's sitting around doing nothing?
Yeah.
Who have we fired? Who's Bell fired? Who's Rogers fired? Is there a
I never
show
got
on
fired
the
from
air
Bell.
we
I
can
never
worked from Bell.
No,
No,
I'm
he had
talking about
chorus.
the list. I'm talking
Yeah.
about
Oh.
the list they're putting together. And
Okay.
Dean, there's 10 names on that list, maybe 7. There's 7 names on that list, and they're all sitting there going, all right, what's their outs? How long is it going to take me to get so-and-so from whatever station? I'm guessing they got 6 months on that one. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Hold on. Does Dean Blundell, where is he still
Is he
living?
alive?
I heard he lives on the outskirts of town. Okay, yeah. Your name's on that fucking list, Dean. I'm telling you, and you're gonna get a call.
I don't know, because you know what? They used to play this game. Remember back in the day when everybody used to bounce radio stations, like 680, when it was 680, then went to 640, then someone went to Q, and they did all that shit. And they used to like hype up the fact that, oh, this guy is coming back to the radio. And that was 20 years ago. You don't hear that anymore. Nobody makes a big deal about a badass coming back on the air.
Linz, no one goes back because there's this business has got a stank on it, right?
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah.
But
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
Somebody
really
rubbed
does. It really does. And that was one of the things and it smells weird now. It was one of the things this fella said to me, who was like, and he did tell me that, he goes, dude, get ready. And I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not interested in it. And he's like, but do you want to do it? And I'm like, I don't know if I can afford the hit my reputation would take if I started doing radio again. And he's like, yeah, that's a good point.
You have kind of shit on it a little bit. Listen, I'll tell you.
Just the industry itself and the gatekeepers everyone else I'm good
shit
with.
all over it. Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Pants off.
Say Lachlan's
full
not
dump.
your agent, just so you
And
know.
we're not, honestly, we're not talking glass bottom boat either. I mean, you shit right on the chest of it.
Right on, bare chest, no shirt.
Just the industry,
After tacos.
though. Just the industry and bad actors. It's like, and part of it is that
you called out a number of people on this.
yeah, I enjoy that though. That's a lot of fun. But you know why I do it, and this is legitimately why, is because I never could before, right? Like to go after the head of the CRTC.
What are you talking about? You said whatever the hell you wanted on your radio.
No,
This is your
no.
catharsis.
Like after I left, and when I was on so there's 2 things I love doing. Right, I love telling tales out of school that hurt bad people. It's the best. And I also love going after the CRTC. So that's another reason why no one's going to hire me, because the head of the CRTC just lost his job, in part, I think, because of the campaign that I went on. Yeah. So,
There you go.
yeah, I feel like I've done my civic duty for everybody else out there in Radio Land. Chris Rook joins us. Rookies.
Rookie
Yeah,
and I are
want
going to take
Rookie's-
the job then.
I want Rookie's thoughts on this. Do you think he's going to get a call? About
Yeah,
the
but take the job and then I'll take over the company.
Rook wants to
I'll
podcast.
stay digital. You go back to the archaic days with Locke. and we'll
Get your corduroy pants on and
yeah,
get
you
your ass.
know what? Do your thing. Have 6
Do
listeners.
you know you guys find a way of fucking making it like shitting on me at least once every podcast?
Well, just because
I'm
of the
gonna start
industry
keeping
that you're in, dude. You're in the 8-track
I
of
love
media
what I do.
While I was,
industry.
The
while I was
fucking good
driving, I
business.
heard Locke tell a story about when he was 18. Was that before or after the Alamo?
They confiscated his horse-drawn carriage at the border, apparently.
It was a fucking
long story,
car.
huh?
It had
Yeah.
rubber wheels on it. and
Dude,
it was like
you tell the
white
longest stories in the
Celica.
world.
They
Anyway.
weren't taking any fucking chances after that.
Sorry, I'm
The
late.
weekend prior was when
Sorry.
Kennedy was shot, so they weren't taking any security chances.
We
at
wrapping
all.
up or something?
Yeah. Did you want to say something before we wrap it up?
Compare analytics with the radio guys if they call ours versus theirs, and say if you can beat us in a month, then maybe I'll consider it.
It's not a bad
Hey,
idea.
can we have a
Yeah.
conversation about that? I heard a little birdie told me that we're creeping our way into the top 20 podcasts overall in Canada. Is that true, Rook?
I don't know, maybe.
Something like that.
Could not
we
be.
don't like to toot our own horn. But
I don't like
have
to.
Number
TV
2 news
station
podcast
or-
in Canada. 2.
Doot, doot. I don't care who listens.
I don't know. I'll check.
No, I can tell you that it's no fun having all this autonomy.
It sucks.
Yeah, Dean will
It's
go
no
for
fun being able to speak my mind and voice an opinion on behalf of people who are marginalized. It sucks.
You know what? Maybe
I-
we'll bring you back to the days of radio. Next show we do, where you're only allowed to talk for 3 minutes, and then we're gonna throw to some music, and then we'll come back, and then talk for another 3, and then throw to more music.
Three's
Hey,
a
listen,
lot of time.
I want the time at least.
3
Is
minutes.
it as
fucking-
long
is
as
a comfortable amount of
hour
time to tell a
55?
story.
Hour 55:50. It's
Of
almost as long.
commercial free?
Yeah.
I didn't have to throw to Zeppelin once.
Yeah, no. not
Here's
at all.
rock and roll, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. That's where I would fall down. Like if someone's like, "Okay, get back in there," I would go, "Okay, well, are we still doing time and temperature? Or am I allowed to say good morning? Is that the thing? Am I allowed?
I don't do
So
any of
all
that
the regular stuff. I would be like, I have no idea what you do anymore. What are the new protocols for doing a radio program? I have no idea.
There's none.
At the
There's
top of the
gotta be.
hour.
Threw all those rules out the door years ago.
Take the calls. Why not?
Yeah, well,
There's-
isn't
the
there like
odd
a?
thing I
Don't
do
you have
for a
to like
song.
the station ID? Don't you have to give that out? Isn't that by
Mhm.
law?
I'll dust
You have
up
to
my
say it.
resume. I'll go do it.
Yeah, say
Well,
the
I'm
call
sure.
letters like every 27 seconds or something.
That stuff.
I
Along
got
with the
what I
weather.
do. I just come out of music and I just start talking. We don't do any of the traditional stuff. We do time. We don't do time checks anymore because everybody's got a phone in their hands. We do weather and traffic because people are in their cars in the morning. And
Edmonton,
Yeah, there's always
Yeah.
something on the white mud.
Come
apparently,
on.
They
That's
want,
what
yeah,
I've
the white
learned.
mud. Yeah.
dude.
The white
I've
mud.
driven around Edmonton 1,000 times. There's no traffic in Edmonton.
Traffic. What do you think we are? Fuck. There's 1.2 million people here, for Christ's sakes.
Well,
You think that we have
The
traffic?
whole province.
No,
yesterday
I
they
don't.
did the sky shot to Rogers Place, and I saw there's like one bridge that goes into town. Is that like what's packed?
One bridge. Is a bridge blocked?
There was
That one bridge. Yeah.
Listen,
Traffic on the
I-
nines. The light is red.
I know that you guys have your fucking traffic issues in Toronto.
Hi, I'm Lachlan Cross, 95.7 The Cruise FM, and I just want to let everybody know the traffic light is green.
Go on through.
Every once in a while, a train will stop traffic. We got to report that shit.
Don't forget, at midnight, that light starts flashing red and amber at the same time until
Just
6
wanted to
a.m.,
let
folks, so
everybody
be
know.
careful.
There's a train coming through town today. You can get out there and watch it. Maybe grab yourself a nice hot coffee. And don't forget to wear your scarf. It's going to be 16 degrees today, but chillier in the morning, probably a high of 4 degrees. I'm
Interesting.
Lachlan Cross, and I don't know why I'm reading traffic in this fucking city.
I'm gonna clip that as
Over to
your
you, Jamie.
demo for
It's your
Q1.
demo for Q. Yeah, right there.
I'm
Oh
good.
my God, he's back.
I'm good.
Rookie, you and I have to go do it. We had this diabolical plan that we were going to get a job doing mornings together.
Just
Well,
for
you guys,
one
no
day.
offense, you guys would blow.
Yeah,
I would
You're too
love
nice.
to hear it though.
it would be fun. Let's do it. Let's just
Maybe
pretend that.
here.
All air
You
check
can.
it.
You can
You
if
guys-
you listen to The Edge tomorrow. You can hear exactly what it would sound like.
So,
How am I doing?
rookie.
You want to hear this rap I have about if I had $1 million?
Yeah, do you have that?
No, that would be my break. That would be my break.
No, don't leave. Don't you fucking leave. Oh, he fucking left because it touched too close to home.
Oh, and so did he.
Rookie. Yeah.
That was an accident. That was an
So you
accident.
better not leave, you
That was
shithead.
He's
You
back.
caused
We
this.
didn't do it. We're not doing it, Locke. Fucking relax.
Don't do it.
I'll
We're not
sing
going to
it.
do it.
Don't. No. Rook.
I had $1 million. No.
You guys are.
I would have a stacked town home in Milton. Is that what it was?
Anyway, that's it for us, Rookie. Thanks for popping in at the end there.
Yeah. You know what I was
Good to see you,
considering?
boys.
Like they're honestly done. So like, what's the point in the last 3? And then I just decided to come on in, do it up.
Dude,
You're, like, 2 hours late.
You always brighten our day.
Yeah. 2 hours late. And for some reason, I don't care.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's the thing. Like
Dude,
I've never seen someone show up for a podcast 2 hours late and be totally okay with it ending 7 minutes later until you. It's one of the reasons why I love you so much.
Woo!
Like
That's
I'm here now.
boys.
Use me. Yeah.
Did I get
That
my
is Chris.
quota?
Chris Rook. Yeah, you did. Chris Rook is our head of production. Great to see you. It doesn't matter where you can get him on Twitter because he doesn't care.
Don't give a shit.
That is Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. Listen every day, 957cruisefm.ca. That is Ryan Lindley from the Sheeple Shepherd podcast, at Sheeple Shepherd, or at Ryan Lindley on Twitter. Thanks, boys. Great to see you.
Good to see you guys. Have a great day.
See
We
you
made
all
a
tomorrow.
difference today.
I did.
You think so?
I think we did.
In what?
I don't know. We made a difference.
I agree.
Good day.
If
Thanks,
you say
guys.
things, if you keep saying things like that just out of the blue, you could be in radio management too.
You having a stroke?
Yeah, right. Can you blink both
Thanks
eyes
for
at
coming,
once?
guys. We made a difference today.
Sometimes dogs are brown.
Yeah. Thanks, Locke. Good to see you.
Take
All right, there you go. Thanks, Ryan. Good to see you too. Talk to you soon. Get a difference today. Thanks, everybody. We like to have some fun and educate. Talk a little bit about things that matter. It's an affirmation, so to speak. Information, affirmation. Whatever. Have a great day. Thanks so much for being part of it. Really appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsors at Easy Auto Financial, helping you get into a car. They've got financing and they don't make you pay for it. Go to easyautofinancial.ca. Sign up today. No obligation whatsoever. Easyautofinancial.ca. Good people, good friends of ours, good friends of yours, making purchasing a car totally turnkey. They don't care about your credit rating. That's why you love them. Easyautofinancial.ca. Check them out today. Domination. Dominate with your content by using domination.com. AI for people that like to produce promos, streaming, gaming, etc. It takes you minutes instead of hours. Try them for free. dmntn.com. And you're going to be hooked. You'll use them for the rest of your life if you produce content. These guys are geniuses and their platform is incredible. So try them today. dmntn.com. And of course, Ed's Fine Imports and his Gitch, they're on us. They can be on you too. Actually, very reasonably priced, and he'll send you a free pair when you order 3 or more from edsfineimports.com. Gitch, and then the number 3 is your promo code, Gitch3. Use that, and he'll send you a free pair. Clothing for men and boys. Massive online store. They got some huge seasonal deals right now, like 70, 80% off certain things. edsfineimports.com. Check it out. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to sign up for a newsletter, deanblundell.com. Visit our store as well. Please support Alex and donate if you can, who is currently trying to feed people in Ukraine, bomb shelters, some frontline workers, frontline soldiers as well. We sent them $5,000 last month. You can go to the store and donate, or buy the Fuck Pootler shirt. That would be a lot of fun too if you could do that. Just go to deanblundell.com and the store is right there, and you're off to the races. Have a great day and a great week. See you tomorrow on this very show. Bye.